All right, I got to get my Omega fix in, so I guess we'll talk about the bad bitch. What's up, Acolyte Squad? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. Let's review the Bad Batch episode 3, The Replacements. So this was like Dave Filoni and crew kind of giving us a horror story episode. It was kind of dark, kind of scary, and they really worked with that whole motif. So I want to talk about a couple of themes that I noticed in the episode, and then I'm gonna leave you guys with some questions to deal with as we continue to get deeper into the story. Just things for you guys to think about. Hey man, I got my own way that I do things, so yeah, I want you guys to think critically about this as we continue to explore these episodes. Before we get all the way into the breakdown, because I've already, you know, kind of laid out the outline. Literally, I'm looking at my outline as I'm talking to you guys. Real quick, I got to get this out of the way. I wanted to let you guys know about the 12-week superhero program. Maybe you didn't know, maybe you did know, and you're like, Prince, I don't care about the fitness thing. I just care about Star Wars. That's cool. But there are people who have been waiting on me to get this thing started. 12-week superhero program is now going to be the Urban Acolyte training program. I'm going to coach people through it. I told the guys that, and then I got deep into this GMB apprenticeship. My workouts, I'm on the last phase. They take like 4 hours a day, every day until my exam. So that's why I haven't really been able to get started. Once that wraps up, hopefully I pass, get certified. We are going to start this, and I am going to coach you guys. But for you guys who aren't in and you're interested, I'm looking to take at least 5 more test cases. This is going to be a big case study depending on how things go. I may offer it again in the future. If not, then, you know, hopefully we get everybody through, they get good results. So if you want more information, I'll tell you right now, there's 4 phases. There's the foundation, there's agility, think Black Panther, because this had an Avengers theme to it, strength and powers like Thor and Hulk, and then the Captain America phase where you're getting all of the above. If you're interested in that, just tell me more in the comments, and I'll shoot you a link, so be sure to check back for my response so you can get on the waiting list. And at that point, it's going to be first come, first serve. It's going to be 70% off the full price if we offer the full program after we get the test cases, the case study folks through. So, you know, that's something to take advantage of. Anyway, let's jump back into the bad bitch. All right, the bad bitch. All right, so there are 4 stories here. So the first one is Omega and the rest of the Bad Batch. So her brothers. I think I called this 4 men and a lady, just like 3 men and a baby, right? So we got the story, whatever's going on with Omega, Tick, Rika, Junta, and Iko. Well, when we come into this episode, their ship is kind of busted up. They're needing parts. They crash land on this moon. They're low on supplies, right? They're low on rations. So don't be surprised if the next episode, the next couple of episodes are dealing with the fact that they're low on supplies. Their ship is pretty much busted up and running on duct tape and old parts, and they've got no food, right? The previous episode was dealing with Omega choosing them and them choosing her, right? So when we talk about in terms of the hero's journey, hey y'all, don't get it twisted. Y'all know what y'all know how we get down here, right? So the hero's journey, there's 3 phases: the separation, the initiation, and the return. The separation, Omega leaves Camino. She's gone with her Bad Batch brothers, her big brothers, right? Initiation, now she has to be initiated into the Bad Batch, right? She chooses them, they chose her. That's what happened on Selukami, whatever she had to be initiated into the Bad Batch. And then here, this episode really was about her formal initiation, right? She's like, I'm one of you, right? I'm part of the squad too. And she goes out, right? The little moon dragons that, you know, suck the electricity, the power out of parts, ship parts. They steal the capacitor. A capacitor holds a charge, builds up the charge, and then, you know, sends it on. That's the last little bit of electrician knowledge that I still remember from being a nuke electrician in the Navy, right? So once that capacitor discharges, it doesn't really have anything, right? It's got to store a charge from a source, right? So you know, once the dragons and the little baby moon dragons, you know, suck off all the charge, it's really no use to the little dragon. And you know, we go in, these dragons are bad, they're scary. You know, Rika got hurt by one, I think, that clawed up the ship, right, ran off with their parts. And then Omega gets in the cave, and this being a kid's show, she's not going to shoot the thing with Rambo Hunter's big Rambo, her big Rambo, his blaster. So you know, we find out, oh, this thing is cute, and it just wants to suck on the flashlight, and it lets Omega escape, and they get the part back, and it's a happy ending, right? The whole point of that story, as far as she's concerned, was it's her formal initiation into the Bad Batch. She can track things just like Hunter, right? And so that leaves the question, you know, still, what's the deal with this girl? Now I'm going to come to hold that question, because I'm going to come back to it. Let me get through the rest of these stories, right? So then we're dealing with Crosshair's arc, right? So Crosshair's arc is set up in Omega and her brother's scene, where, you know, she's explaining to them that Crosshair is acting a certain kind of way because of his inhibitor chip, right? Now we know from the first episode that, hey man, they done tuned this dude all the way up. Like, he's basically Tarkin's rhymes with snitch, right? We might as well not even call him Sniper Crosshair dude. He is Tarkin's snitch, right? Rhymes with snitch, right? I'll let you figure out the word, because I'm trying to, I like these high RPMs on these videos when I don't cuss, right? They're kind of setting up this redemption thing for Crosshair. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's like there's the hope for redemption, that he can be redeemed, that everything that he's done and is doing is because of the inhibitor chip. Good soldiers follow orders, right? He has no choice. Now I'm thinking that the way the nature of his mutation, that's just the way he is. Yeah, it's the inhibitor chip, but I think that's him too. That's him, dog, right? We already got Rambo is like, you know, Hunter is like, yo man, I feel bad because you don't leave a soldier behind, and I left him behind. But at the same time, it's like, can you rehabilitate him? I'm kind of feeling like some of what he's doing is just him. It's not just the inhibitor chip. I think that's him, and they're just going to have to deal with it. One of the things that's kind of irking me about Crosshair is, like, why does he sound so much like what's the Duros bounty hunter, Cad Bane? Like, I'm sure, like, it's probably the same voice actor, because you know, like, it's probably not Steven Stanton, but what's his name, D Baker, something like D Bradley Baker. I probably have to, I'm not going to look that up while I'm on here with you guys. Well, this isn't live, but so maybe D Bradley Baker voiced your boy Cad Bane, and of course he's voicing all of the clones, so maybe that's why they sound so much alike, right? But Crosshair's arc, they take out some of Saw Gerrera's partisans, then he orders the rest of his squad to kill the civilians. I think it's probably the blonde hair Zach Morris dude who didn't want to follow orders, you know, that's kind of like bucking up to Crosshair the whole time. They got shot point blank in the chest, right? Dropped a body, and it is what it is. You know how Crosshair gets down, right? He don't play. Good soldiers follow orders, right? So that also plays into this whole storyline with Admiral Rampart. Tarkin is kind of exited stage right, left things up to Admiral Rampart, and we got this thing with conscripted soldiers, which is going to become stormtroopers. You know that's going to happen in the Dark Trooper project. So it's like they're, you know, the Dark Troopers got retconned into canon in Rogue One, and they've continued to be a part of the original saga, like the stories dealing with the rebellion and whatnot. But we know that's going to happen, and now it's kind of sounding like Crosshair might become kind of like the Grand Inquisitor to the Inquisitorius. He'll be that to the Dark Trooper project. And the fact that they had one who didn't obey orders, maybe the rest of them won't follow orders. I don't know. Actually, I can kind of see Crosshair. So one of the things that they kind of end on was Crosshair kind of like looked around when they get back to Camino, and he looks around the barracks like, yo, man, y'all are like in my brother's racks, like, and y'all haven't earned that spot. And, you know, he's like looking at the scratches on the wall from successful missions, and it's kind of like a longing for, like, he misses them, right? And so there's something interesting there to his arc. I don't know how it'll play out, but I can also see, because the Dark Troopers are kind of like altered. I want to say genetically altered, but they're not like clones, or they're, you know, conscripted soldiers, and they have things that are done to them. And this first group, this first squad, they haven't had that. So I'm thinking that this is probably going to fail. Whatever Admiral Rampart is doing is probably going to fail, and they have to do more because to get to that point where you have Dark Troopers. So that's something to watch out for, is that Rampart is probably going to fail. Maybe Crosshair does return to the Bad Batch, or maybe the Kaminoans sabotage whatever Rampart is doing, because that's the fourth kind of major arc, theme, evolution, whatever you want to call it, that I see, is that the Kaminoans are like, yo, man, like, if they bring in conscripted soldiers, that's the end for us. And we know that, well, they're not going to continue to produce clone troopers, even if the Empire wanted more. They mentioned that Jango Fett's genetic material is the degradation of his genetic material that remains. So they got to do something else. They mentioned this Superior Clone Project. The one chick, she's got some kind of experiments going. I thought that they were referring to the Bad Batch, and the next, and they mentioned that, the clones are the property of the Kaminoans, which means the Bad Batch is the property of the Kaminoans. And the next shot, they show Crosshair, and they're like, we only need one. So, they're gonna produce a superior clone from the superior clones that they already have. I thought maybe they were alluding to Omega. Like, I don't know. And that I don't want this to go too long. So that goes into the questions that I have for the episode, is like, what's the deal with Omega? Right now, I feel like Omega she's got all of their traits, right? She's the superior clone. Is it, like Hunter said, we've all got a special trait. Wrecker, him having superior senses and these superior reflexes, basically like a Jedi. Wrecker's got this strength and durability. Crosshairs, his sniping ability, and then IQ, tech. It's super smart, super genius. Echo is a computer, and he wasn't part of the Bad Batch's like literal batch of clone cells that was altered. So right now I'm feeling like Omega, she's got all of their talents. Maybe she is force sensitive, but I'm like this. If she is, she's probably not going to get any training. So maybe like her being force sensitive displays as we see it as her having all of their traits, but she's actually using the force. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what the deal is with her. Like, does she have accelerated aging? Because if she does, why is she not an adult like them? Like, did they keep her in the test tube too a little bit longer, or is she like Boba where she's aging at a normal rate, right? So like that part of her wasn't altered. There's something going on with her. Like I thought maybe, okay, well, she's force sensitive and the force is preventing her from aging at an accelerated rate, right? It slowed down her aging, just like, you know, how Palpatine is, you know, like 200 years old, or he's not literally, but he's really old, even in, you know, Return of the Jedi, without him, you know, body swapping and jumping into a clone body, right? Also with the Superior Clone Project, is that going to play a part in the stuff we see in The Mandalorian, and eventually, you know, obviously we know that Palpatine has a clone body and all of that, and you know, the Rise of Skywalker and the Snoke stuff where he was experimenting, creating Snoke clones and whatnot from whoever the original Snoke Prime was, right? So is that what they're doing? Is they're gonna find a force sensitive being and try to create a superior clone? So I don't know, maybe I don't know, you know, like maybe we find out something that ties into some of the other stuff we've seen, right? And that's another question I have, but I have one before that. Like, I don't understand what the bigger story is here. And it's going to take a while for that to unfold. You got to set up everything up, right? So, you know, if somebody called this a filler episode or the previous episode a filler, I would say it's because they don't really know how to examine this stuff. They don't know how to look at it and like see the bigger picture and ask deeper questions, kind of like I'm doing right now. You know, there's a bunch of stories, but how does this, and this is the last question, how does this tie into the existing saga? Like right now, Saw Gerrera's got his partisans. We know that that's going to be a rebellion. There's going to be many rebellions, their own cells operating independently, right? Ahsoka hasn't yet become Fulcrum. She's still on the run. It'll be, you know, I think several years before she, you know, deals with that one Inquisitor and then goes and hollers at Bail Organa and becomes a Fulcrum agent, you know, kind of feeding intel to these different independently operating rebel cells. So there's that, right? So right now it's like, this is a good time to tell a story because it's like, there's nothing really going on. Like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Saw Gerrera's like not quite Saw Gerrera. He doesn't yet have to take care of Jyn Erso for the time that he has her, right? So I know some people are like, maybe we'll see Jyn in this, and it's like, oh, she's kind of still with her parents at this point, right? They Krennic hadn't come and recruited her father, and then her father was like, screw you, Krennic, and gone on the run, and all of that you see at the start of Rogue One, right? That hasn't quite happened yet. So, you know, like I said, I don't know how this is going to tie into things, you know, with Omega. What I can see with her character, right? Because, you know, we jump to The Mandalorian, you know, she's grown up during that time, right? Maybe we know Fennec Shand is going to be part of this, so it's like, well, we see Fennec Shand, you know, in her anywhere from mid 40s, mid 50s, early 40s, I don't know, but she's going to be introduced on the Bad Batch. Will Omega turn up in the Clone Wars, in the Boba Fett series, or later on in the Mandalorian, just because of her possible connection to Fennec Shand? I don't know. Maybe we find out that Omega was like some kind of, you know, standout shock trooper running missions as part of the rebellion, right? Cara Dune was supposed to be pretty kick-ass. and we never knew anything about her until the Mandalorian. So, you know, the with Thane Kyrell, Sienna Ree, we never knew anything about them during the original saga because technically they didn't exist. But then later we find out that Thane Kyrell was running around there on Hoth, you know, during Empire Strikes Back, and the reason they had the base on Dakar and The Force Awakens was because Thane Kyrell scouted that location as a possible rebel base, you know, after Hoth. Like, that's his next mission. So I can see this character Omega, you know, literally. I think my man Mike Rendell said this on his personal Facebook page. Shout out to him. That she's like the new Ahsoka, right? Some people might not like her, but she's kind of here to stay, and her story will probably continue to get bigger and better, right? As she becomes a new part of a new addition to the ongoing and expanding story of Star Wars. My only gripe is I'm kind of tired of like the rebellion period, like the dark times, and like I kind of want. I know we're getting the High Republic, but I kind of want like new Star Wars.